What's happening, everyone? Hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to be talking about The Batman. I saw it on Monday in IMAX, and just this is going to be a non-spoiler review. Just want to do an overview of things that I really liked, maybe some minor criticisms, but overall, the film is fantastic. Really had a great time seeing this movie, especially in IMAX, because the sound just enhanced the music and the tension. And so we'll get into all that. So if you would, just do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like these. Let's get into it. So The Batman was directed by Matt Reeves. It was also co-written by Matt Reeves, and Robert Pattinson is obviously the main star. He plays Batman. And we have Zoey Kravitz as Catwoman, Colin Farrell as the Penguin. Really all-star cast here. Everybody did really, really well. Especially Colin Farrell. He nailed it as the Penguin. I always have a soft spot for Danny DeVito from Batman Returns. That was kind of my Penguin as a kid. That's one of my favorite Batman movies. But this is such a great take. He adds a lot of levity to the movie, which is great because the movie is really serious, like really serious. Which I didn't hate, because what I like about DC is they treat their characters seriously, so the audience does as well, and that was really big for me. It wasn't like tongue-in-cheek like what Marvel tends to do all the time. So let's talk about Robert Pattinson as Batman, because he's kind of what hinges on this being a great movie or a mediocre one, and he just absolutely nailed it as Batman, thankfully. And maybe not so much as Bruce Wayne, but that's not Pattinson's fault. It's kind of the writing of the movie, because this is supposed to be year two Batman. And so in this iteration of Batman, Bruce Wayne is kind of a recluse. He doesn't go outside much. He's a total night owl. His life is being Batman. He doesn't care what happens to him as long as he can make a difference. So that's kind of the central theme of this, is him trying to figure out exactly what it means to be a hero. Is it just as simple as going out at night and beating up criminals? Or is there more that he could be doing to be kind of a symbol of hope for the people of Gotham, to be an example of what it looks like to be a selfless, caring person? Because it seems like Gotham has forgotten that. And my God, the way they portray Gotham in this movie is exactly what I wanted. It is brutal. It is so dark and dingy. There's crime everywhere. And again, a spoiler-free review, but this isn't anything major. At the beginning of the movie, they do this fantastic monologue, and Bruce Wayne is narrating exactly how he, basically his persona, and he says when the bat symbol goes up in the sky, the thugs, the criminals, they think I'm in the shadows. And you see these criminals who are like spraying graffiti, and they'll look in the shadows and just freak out and run away, even though he's not even there. But they don't know. So awesome stuff. And Matt Reeves directed the hell out of this movie. And what can I say? He really outdid himself. So let's talk about Gotham City in this movie, because it is truly a character in and of itself. Matt Reeves has brought Gotham City to life in my favorite iteration of Gotham City ever. It is like Arkham Knight, the video game. It's like they took that and just made it Gotham City in this movie. And that's exactly what I wanted, because you actually believe that Gotham City is completely corrupt and ridden with crime. And you get exactly that in this movie. There's crime everywhere. There's thugs beating up people in the streets. I mean, graffiti everywhere. It's a hellhole. It's an absolute hellhole. And that's what Gotham should be, because you go, okay, Batman needs to be there. He has a reason to be in Gotham City, because Gotham City is a piece of crap place to live. So that's why he's got to change it. So you have a lot of established characters in this movie. You obviously have Batman, you have Jim Gordon, Catwoman, the Penguin, the Riddler. So a lot of different variables here, but Catwoman, for me, Zoey Kravitz playing her was actually a real standout. She did a phenomenal job playing a pretty grounded, pretty realistic Catwoman who has a very nice arc in this movie. And whenever Batman and Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman were on screen together, the Bat and the Cat, those were some of my favorite scenes because I felt like I was watching the animated series or reading a comic. Like they really took a lot of inspiration from prior Batman material, and it just worked for me. This whole movie, I'm watching it going, this just feels like Batman, and I don't know what that means. I don't exactly know why. They just did a wonderful job with the Batman interpretation. So that was wonderful. Zoe Kravitz, major props to her. I'm looking forward to seeing more of her if they do a second or third movie. I'm sure she'll be back. But on another side note, the fight scenes were unbelievable. In Nolan's Batman trilogy, I love them. Dark Knight is my favorite Batman movie, but the fight scenes were always a little weird for me because they do a lot of jump cuts. There's not a whole lot of action that's in camera, and in this movie, it's completely opposite. There's a lot of wide shots, almost one takes, and that was fantastic to see Batman just taking out people without, one punch being cut up into 5 different jump cuts, because I hate that crap. Fight scenes were incredible. Whoever did the choreography, major props to you. But again, felt like I was watching a Batman video game from the Arkham series, but on screen. Awesome. So of course the review wouldn't be complete without talking about Paul Dano as the Riddler. He was a great villain. He was very insane, over the top. But it worked for me. He was more of course, in the spirit of Zodiac and Seven, and every review mentions that. But he definitely took Matt Reeves definitely took inspiration from those films as far as following a serial killer and trying to track him down. The only difference is for this, it's riddles instead of just straight up clues, and the way they solve these riddles are very, very clever. So Paul Dano, great job. So there is a car chase scene in this movie. If you've seen the trailer for the Batman, you've probably seen parts of it. It does not do it justice. That is probably the best car chase scene I've ever seen in a movie. Really, honestly. And you have no idea how cool the Batmobile is or could be until you see this car chase scene. Just that was worth the price of admission alone. It was unbelievable. So I don't have a lot to criticize this movie on. I think it's a very competent movie. It's very entertaining, very fun to watch. But the main criticism I do have is the length, because it is too long. It is probably 20 or 30 minutes too long. It doesn't mean I wasn't interested in the story, because I was throughout the entire runtime, which says a lot to the quality of the film. I mean, it was just really entertaining, really engaging. But if they had trimmed maybe 20 or 30 minutes off the end of this, it would probably be the best Batman movie ever. And there's also like almost 2 or 3 endings. So at one point you think the film's over. And so the tension is, oh, all right, wow, that was great. And then it keeps going. And you're like, oh, there's more. Okay. I mean, it's not necessarily bad. Like, I was still interested in what was going to happen, but I thought to myself, yeah, this is definitely too long. So if there's any criticism, that's the major one for me. It's one of my only criticisms, actually. So yeah. So those are my thoughts on the Batman. I really dug this movie. I liked Matt Reeves' interpretation of a younger Batman, year 2 Batman, who's trying to figure out what it means to be a hero and trying to understand if what he's doing is actually making a difference or if he has to become more. So it's a wonderful story. It's very engaging. It's thrilling. You got great acting, great directing, great cinematography, great score. So it's all there. It's a complete package. But if I had to give a rating to this movie, it would probably be my highest rating, which is I'll be buying this on Blu-ray for sure. So if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you later.